Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the engagement today. Thanks for the lovely introductions. Given that we've already had the introductions, we'll probably just say maybe one line about ourselves, what we are, what we do. My name is Rajiv. I lead global social business analytics for a company called Kenview, which a lot of you probably know of as Johnson & Johnson, right? With me, we have a very accomplished panel today. We start on my left with Wei Ming, who is the head of data architecture for OCBC.
Good afternoon. So I look after the data architecture within the bank itself, as well as the enterprise capabilities that we build across the group, which includes other entities like Bank of Singapore, NISP, and GE as well.
Thank you, Wei Ming. That's Abhishek.
In case you're wondering that if you have any insurance-related problems, you can meet me after the event. I am not representing Prudential PLC, the red one. I am representing Prudential Financial, which is the blue one. And so I like to describe myself as a lifelong learner, and looking forward to the session today.
And Hejong.
Hi everyone, my name is Hejong. I work in Procter & Gamble. I work in a brand called SK2. I'm not sure if you guys know the brand. I'm working right now in the consumer experience team, which is actually the first ever made in Procter & Gamble. So we are aiming to make the best SK2 signature experience across the online and offline. And we have a multi-team, including the IT team, R&D team, and so forth. So it's a multi-functional team that I lead. Nice to see you.
And finally, John.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Indoas. So in the last few years, I have been leading the client technology space in Indoas across Singapore and Hong Kong, so that we try to leverage data points to make better decisions for marketing and campaigns, so that our mission is to invest better and live better. That's all about me and Indoas. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So as you can see, it's a very diverse panel from insurance, banking, investments, and FMCG world. Let's start with a very simple question, and we're talking about transforming customer experiences, right? And for all of our industries, even though we're a very diverse set of industries, customers are key to our business growth. So let's start with, can you give us some examples of how you in your industries are leveraging data and analytics and machine learning to drive customer experience? Maybe you can start with John.
Yeah, sure. So Indoas was launched in about 2019 with about 30 people in a small shop house with the mission of democratize investing in CPF, which is a pension space, and private wealth. So in the very early days, we have to strike a huge balance between the immediate short-term gains by looking at the data or surviving, make the business continues to survive. So in the very early days, we only have one simple goal in the company, which is to grow the asset under management, as simple as that. So we have a dashboard every day. Our CEO will come and look at the metrics and question the campaign numbers from the last week. But over 1 year, 2 years down the road, we verify the product market fit. We see a strong growth in the pension space, CPF, and also the cash portion that is being managed by Indoas. So over the period of time, we secured the funding from UBS, Lightspeed Venture, SoftBank. We grow the team to 150 members today. So we split the functions across streamlined teams. Each team now focus on a vertical line, such as onboarding, which is acquisition of the customers, and also the invest pillar, which is the advisory piece. And the last one is the trading and engage, where we try to cross-sell, upsell, and ensure the lifetime value is substantial. So that's where we start to invest heavily on the data to make sure everyone have a holistic understanding of their personal wealth and their status of life. So one significant example recently we have done is that from the data, we identified every day we have about 60-70% drop-off points just because we choose the product portfolio selection upfront when the user sign up. Because as a financial service product, we also want to sell how good our product is. It's no different from any other personal human financial advisor you have met from insurance firms or banks. However, we noticed that people who are selling Indoas may already heard about us somewhere else. And from the numbers, we realized people are struggling. Like basically, they spend 15 minutes every day to just onboard with us, every individual user. But out of the 15 minutes, 10 minutes are actually spent on figuring out what product to start invest with us as their first solution. Then we made a bold decision, just say that, can we just eliminate this feature? Let's try to move the needles by having this customer ready to invest as fast as possible. So by removing that feature, we see the same day onboarding completion rate went up from 30% to 80%. And also the conversion rate has significantly improved for the funding stage, which is invest with us.
That's super interesting. And I would like to ask maybe Weiming if you can share your experience as well, because it's in similar land, right? Banking and financial services. So what would you do in OCBC to really transform customer experience?
I think the bank is very focused on how do we drive value creation through getting better insights in terms of how do we help our business make better decisions. When we talk about how to help our business make better decisions, what we're really talking about is how do we help our business colleagues to get that dearth of information in terms of what is our customer segment like, what is their behavior, what is their propensity to buy, in terms of even what's happening in their channels per se. How do we do save and continue? Now, we are probably the only bank in Singapore that has a save and continue journey, meaning that today, if you were to draw money from an ATM, you actually don't need your ATM card. You do it by your app, you could do it via facial recognition. You could do it on your phone, continue to save, and continue the journey on an ATM that you pick. So that whole save and continue thing is something that we are trying to bring across in terms of an omni-channel experience. If you scroll to our page and you're looking at buying a home, for example, right? What are some of the customer moments that we're really looking at, right? Those moments itself, I think earlier on there was a presentation from Caro, which talks about, when's the right time to send the information, when's the right time to engage the customer, how do we retain the customer, how do we re-engage the customer. That is something that we are looking at, but we're taking it in terms of a different type of view, right? We want to be able to save the state that you were looking at in terms of buying a home. Let's say you were scrolling in the office and you got distracted by a meeting, for example. And then when you reach home, we could send you a nudge to say that, hey, we know that you're looking at a home. We have this preferential rate. Would you like to re-engage? That type of thing. Or even from the perspective that, if you were to draw money from an ATM in Changi Airport, for example, right? And we have an ongoing campaign that sells FD rates. But because we know you're at Changi Airport and you're drawing money, we could send you a different nudge and say that, hey, looks like you're traveling, right? Do you want to buy travel insurance? So those type of measured, how do we help our business, help our customers make better decisions per se? Today in the bank, 4 million decisions a day are made by AI. Think about that.
Wow. I think decision moments are very critical, and we might come to it a little bit later in our panel discussion. I realize we have only probably 20 minutes left. I'd like to move on to Abhishek. How are you doing it in the insurance field? How are you using AI and ML to transform customer experiences?
Yeah, I'm quite impressed by what John and Wei mentioned. Before I share what we are trying to do to solve the pain points of our customers, something about the insurance industry. A very regulated industry. We have treasure troves of data just like banking. And we have just recently, as an industry, started to actually unlock value with that data. So we do have, many of the incumbents now partnering with the data providers on CDP and other solutions to actually look at how can we, unlock the value. The pain point that we were trying to solve, 2 pain points, is insurance is a product which you actually need when you don't need it, right? If you think about it, you actually aspire that you don't need to use insurance at all. Right? It's a term insurance, protection, etc. But you still take it to ensure that there is certainty, and then you can your goals, etc. of your family can continue. So our problem statement was, how do we engage our customers efficiently and drive higher customer lifetime value? The average customer touch points in insurance is only 2 times a year, compared to banking, which is 100 times. So our problem statement was that our customers are not, are probably churning and then not recognizing us So we ran a concerted program for last 6 months in one of our Latin America markets, and using a 4-step strategy of customer segmentation to identify the highest probability of customers who are likely to churn or surrender their policy. Then we looked at shared OKRs. We actually galvanized the entire organization to have one common goal to drive that. And third was create a marketing and loyalty plan using AI, using insights, using our learnings from those customer cohorts created to actually tailor our content and campaigns to ensure that the touch is very high with them. And lastly was using marketing automation solutions to actually deliver it. So you could send an email, follow it up with a WhatsApp, and then a SMS, depending on what worked well. In just a span of 6 months, we were able to actually create a substantial improvement in our retention. Significant 12% reduction in our in our conservation, or increase in our conservation compared to the control group. The another pain point that we are trying to solve is how do we engage customers with our product using wellness solutions. So we are working with a provider based in Canada and one in Israel to run a POC where all you have to do is a face scan for 30 seconds, 40 seconds max, and it generates 15 to 20 biomarkers. Talk about the probability of getting stress, talk about probability of hypertension, talk about probability of diabetes. And we are utilizing that information to add value to our customers, as well as then guide them to the respective pathways, for well-being. So, retention as one use case, and second use case is actually proactive engagement to help the customers while they're living.
Thanks, Abhishek. Hejong, what about in SK2?
Yeah, I mean, this is very inspiring to hear from the, insurance and financial sectors. From us, I think everybody would resonate, but in SK2, we believe that AI and digital, the data would not mean as much if we don't have the right consumer and business problems. We need to really identify that. So giving you a little bit of a context, SK2's one of the point of difference is the skin counseling. So we are actually a skin expert brand. We've been the pioneer of the skin counseling. We're the first one who developed the skin counseling device 30 years ago. So we are like pioneering that space, and we do have millions and millions of data with consumers, and that SK2 directly owns. And actually, if you compare with the competitor, like many brands are using the third-party diagnostic tool. So they actually use the third-party algorithm and the database. Now, having said that, a couple of years ago, and everybody would resonate even more on the Gen Z, the rise of the Gen Z. So basically, as the Gen Z were rising, they don't want to come to the store. So they would not want to come to the store unless you have a very compelling reason. Either you give a really, new information, a new products, or something that she can entertain. So basically, she doesn't want to come to the counter. Department store, the traffic was declining. Again, from SK2 standpoint, especially for Japan case, the consumer were thinking that SK2 is super scary because we have like our very long-term beloved the beauty counselors, the sales staffs in the counters. And if you go to the counter, you feel like you need to buy something, you're pressured to buy. So basically, they're really, really scared to go to the counter. And with the COVID, actually, it's even more scarier because when you do the skin counseling, basically, like someone has to touch your face and you have to touch the device, which you don't know how many people have touched. So this completely didn't work for us in the beginning. Now, with all this, we quickly generated this newest technology, which is called the Magic Scan, which was the next generation skin counseling tool. Using the 10 different, our own granted technology, this whole skin chaotic analysis, the data mining algorithm, and also the visualization technology. So we created that. Now, the unique thing about that one was it's contactless. And you can imagine why we created contactless, because of course the COVID was one thing, but again, the Gen Z does not want to get interrupted, and they don't want to feel pressure to buy, and if needed, then they don't want to have a human interaction to begin with. If they're interested, then yes, they will ask for help, but they don't want that pressure. So basically we wanted to share with her that this whole contactless counseling is something that you can experience. If you need any help, please let us know. We're here. Actually, this is enabled by our very detailed technology of I think the face recognition. But again, going to adjusting the lights, because every counters, every location would have different lights. So we have this algorithm of how do we adjust the light based on the data points that we have? How do we reproduce that data of the photos to kind of link with our algorithm so that predicts and precise, doing that precise analysis. So that was the one point. Now, the second point is, which is interesting, also linking back to the Gen Z, I think this one is not only Gen Zs, by the way. So if you go to a fashion, if you go to buy some clothes, and then you're told by the clerk, oh, as you're wearing this, your leg looks very short. Oh, your arms looks very long. You don't want to buy that clothes, right? Basically, why would you want to, go resonate? Your heart will not open up. Now, many brands were doing the pinpointing, starting with the issue. So we kind of changed this whole thing with the positive counseling, first ever in the industry, where we've analyzed the 300 pixels of her layers, of 4 layers, which is counting up to 1,000, 1,200 tiles of her skin, and really analyzing which part is a beautiful zone of her. So starting with the beautiful, her, cherishing and celebrating her beauty, we started with that. Now, with that, we also share with her the future forecasting of her skin. So this is actually a very unique one where a lot of brands, actually, if you do the future forecasting, it's a lot of CG, a lot of filter are used. But this is actually used by the clinical data that we have as a database of a real proof of after using a product and a lot of skin, data and studies that we do. We made this algorithm to really predict what is going to be her future. So basically, that's actually the future forecasting we embedded in that stance. Now, with that, again, just as a result-wise, we actually put this Magic Scan as part of the core experience in our counter, and that actually drove a lot of traffic. And with that, our new user conversion is actually the highest ever. It reached 30% during COVID. Now it's over 40%, so it's actually the highest ever new user conversion that we had. And then again, one example is Japan. It's a very hard market to change if you guys work in Japan industry. But again, we've been able to have the double digit of sales consecutively for 15 months. So it's been a very big enabler for us to enable that traffic to user conversion to the sales.
I think this is super interesting, right? So we are all talking about transforming customer experience, and we're all talking about machine learning, but the solutions are so different. There's technology-based solutions that Abhishek and Hye-Jeong had. There's decision moments-based solutions. There's lifetime-based solutions. And at Kenvue, we're starting on this journey actually more of using machine learning to do more consumer insights that will help us with our advertising. So if you think about in the FMCG world, right, and Hye-Jeong, you're with me on this. So consumers really use our products through the day, right? You wake up in the morning, you use a Listerine, you go have a bath with a shampoo, then you probably go to work, have a horrible meeting, come back, take a Panadol, right? And your life lives around FMCG products, right? And consumers search about our categories, about our needs all the time. They post about it on TikTok, on Reddit. If you have a baby or you're expecting a baby, you probably go to some kind of baby center type forum and you post questions to other people, Reddit, and then you use your products and then you go leave a review on Amazon or Lazada, right? So all of this data exists. It's publicly scrapable, and consumers are talking about our products, about our competitor products, about their needs all the time. And you can imagine in a category like beauty care, or even in a category like Panadol is not my brand, but in a category like self-care OTC, there's millions and millions of posts in a day, right, across the world. So getting all of that data in and mining it and using data science and machine learning to really cater to the customer needs by delivering better innovation, better communication, personalized needs. That's kind of the journey we're on. But I'm very interested in what you said, John, on decision moments. And I think You talked about hyper-personalization, Abhishek, when we were outside. So are there any challenges that you guys face in your organization when you start providing these personalized customer experiences using AI ML?
So maybe I can start. So we launched an AI-based personalized recommendation for our customers, and we share it with our agents. It was in one of the countries very close to where Hejong is, and lo and behold, the adoption rate was zero. So the agent on the other side felt that I know my customers much better than what an AI can tell. And when we dug deep, we identified that the explainability of the AI was a challenge there. So insurance is a face-to-face conversation, and we were trying to actually help the agent to better their productivity. But what AI was not able to do was, why did that recommendation come in the first place? So that, I believe, is a challenge I see in multiple use cases. The second, of course, is how do you operationalize the AI models and make them as part of the journey and do the continuous learning? But keen to know if any of you are facing similar or different challenges.
Maybe John, I know Wei Ming will come back to you on decision moments as well.
Yeah, sure. So in Indoas, we are right now incorporating a development of chatbot experience with a generative AI, similar to the ChatGPT, but mostly focusing on the routine questions our MAS licensed representatives answer every day. For example, how to open my SRS account with the OCBC, right? So those kind of routine questions, we are onboarding the generative AI, which we think is a low-hanging fruit. And on the other hand, we are trying to be a little bit conservative because Indoas is very careful about our fiduciary duty of the client. We take it very seriously, as in we don't want to launch something that is still in a beta stage. We don't know about how the biased data generated from generative AI could influence clients on buying some investment product that may not be the best suitable for them at this point of time in their life stage, right? So that's where we are striking a balance. We want to pilot it with the most operational, transactional stuff in the organization for efficiency. And on the same time, we are first time launching a year in review with a hyper personalization with the AI empowered solution, which means we generate personalized wealth report and investing advice based on how you have been doing with the Indoas and how your peers have been doing with the Indoas based on the demographics like age, income group, gender, even maybe like a postal code, right? So that's what we are piloting right now.
Thank you, John. So, Wei Ming, we were talking about decision moments earlier, and I think with SK2 as well, when you mentioned your example of your magic scan, this whole idea of there is a moment when the customer is most engaged and there's a moment when the customer is probably not as engaged. And how do you use machine learning to really drive communication at the right moment to the customer? So I guess maybe both of you, your perspective.
So earlier on, I mentioned that today 4 million decisions are made by AI to help the customer move forward, right? Now, from a bank's perspective, we primarily use AI for 3 reasons. 1, generate revenue. 2, to lower costs. And 3, to reduce risk, right? Now, at a lower cost point of view, and I'll build on what John mentioned in terms of chatbots. From a conversational AI point of view, today the bank has deployed several chatbots. And you will be surprised to learn that about a third of all customer queries are actually handled by the chatbot itself. Now, as we go forward with large language models, there is opportunity to help other aspects of the operations of the bank itself. From the perspective of today, for example, I will use hyper-personalization. We not only send personalized offers out to each and every customer, we also send articles out to customers as well. But we don't send the article itself. We use large language models to summarize the article to help customers pick up trading signals as well, so that they are aware what they should be focused to look at. So it's this type of decision moments that we're looking at in terms of a customer's journey with the bank itself.
What about with SK2?
Well, for us, we're of course looking into the decision moments, but also we look into where she is with us in the journey. So we use the data and also the AI to not only look into the point when she sees us through the media, but also like when she comes to the counter, even after the experience that she has, whether she buys her or not, how we interact with her after she interacts with us in the first place. So we use the data and AI very holistically throughout that journey. Now, I think I can share maybe some of the couple of like examples. One thing is like how they use the data to retain, recruit the new users, and also a new user meaning the penetration, like first to the SK2. And also retain even our existing users. So previously, for the data standpoint, we had a very parallel data. So that whole, because we have a counter in our operation, we have our own data, but also there's a media publisher data, and also there is the customer data. Many of times we didn't link this together, but we had this, cases, and we're building this capability where we're connecting these data to ensure that we have the right target, also, but a real right lookalike target, so that we can go to her when she is needing us and so forth. And this one, as we use the AI, it's actually strengthened further where you use the automated creative solutions with the social net canvas, where we canvas the whole social trend and plus also get a lot of social insights, like the consumer search back insights, and linking that with our creative, like changing the format, changing the communication ideas, and all these different things to ensure that we reach to her with the content that she wants to have. So with that, I think people who are working on this area would really resonate. For us, for example, the cost has been significantly been efficient, because if you think about it, people only spend 2 seconds per asset, per ad. They scroll down super fast, but many brands use thousands and thousands of dollars of money to produce one ad. Whereas, this whole automated creative, you can actually use one ad to create various different ideas, different claims, different formats and everything. Another one is, again, what we also reduced is the turnover time. So previously, at least it was at 7 days, if you turn, around our BLS is not working, our, consideration is not coming up, you have to talk to the agency, you have to talk to these different people to change the assets. Whereas with this whole, these automated creatives, we could change the assets max 2 days. So it's been a lot of and also again, of course, the consumer insights that we get out of it, how can we really ensure that search back insights is linking with this whole content that we serve. So therefore, the whole media efficiency and effectiveness goes high. The ROI eventually goes high. Now that's one example. Another example is as we have a lot of direct one-on-one relationship in the counter space, like the offline space, with the data that we gather about her and the data that we have about the others who is similar to her, we actually can create very effective one-on-one relationship after when she comes to the counter and she interacts first with us. So this one is also enabled by the AI, also where we can know that consumer who is first time coming to the counter, who didn't buy, first time coming, bought once, many times came, bought many times, or maybe sometimes come and sometimes doesn't come. So we actually can get a lot of data and algorithm that understanding her, what she wants to have, what she needs basically, where she lives in the location wise, the season she's in, if she is in springtime or summertime, what is the weather like, what is actually the product she purchased before, what is her actual age, what is her skin condition. So with all that, we can kind of generate the right communications for her. And we use, let's say, the WeChat Enterprise for China case. There's a one-on-one, there's a system, the very, in the back end, there's a lot of technical part, to target and everything. But we can actually generate that very personalized communication with her in the WeChat Enterprise. So these are something that we do. Now, if ultimately this links with our brand, equity, which is the omotenashi spirit as a Japanese brand. And if you guys have gone to Japan, omotenashi means that it's an ultimate anticipatory service that you don't even need to ask for something, but you get it even though you don't say. So maybe if you go to Japan, like, you can see that ultimate service, like you feel so good when you go to Japanese restaurants or any places you go in Japan, you feel so good, right? So that's actually the spirit, and that's one of our equity, very important one. Now, this whole AI and then the data enables us to give that omotenashi service to her because we can anticipate, we can actually predict what she wants and serve her with the right content. And we even have that data where we send too many messages in like a week, or like, if you send more than like 2-3 messages in a week, then she's gonna block us completely. So we kind of do also the experiment, and there's a human side of it, there's also the data side of it, science side of it, but we actually do these experiments to understand that. But that's our, how we kind of, see.
Maybe the next step is that SK2 will actually put an inception in your mind that you have to actually try them, right?
Exactly, please.
Okay, I know everyone's had a very long day, and I think maybe we're running a little bit behind, I think, on the agenda. And I see that TV's flashing red numbers at me. So maybe we'll stop here. I know it was very short. We only had time to do 2 or 3 questions each. But maybe do we have time for 1 or 2 audience questions? Yeah.
Hi, Dr. Michael Heng from Energy Corp Global. I'm very excited to listen to the insight of the panels. It's very interesting. I have a nagging question. I'll come to that in a while. When we look at behavior trends, it's really about thinking that the future is based on the past. So we look at the trend, but we know very well that the past cannot predict the future, right? So when I look at the speakers representing your companies, banking, insurance, more of the same product services, right? SK, I'm not sure. I don't use SK products, right? But so I was wondering, to what extent could you use these analytics that you have of the past to advise innovations and new products? Okay, can you do that? In fact, SK, maybe what's the new woman of the future? All right, okay, and how do you think you gather there, right? So I like some comments from the panel. Thank you.
So maybe I can take a stab. You're right. If there is a drastic change in the behavior of customers, then the past will not be a prediction of the future. What we are trying to do with AI and ML is just give us some sense of probabilities. That's it. And which is why, especially in insurance, we call it the omni-channel experience or the phygital experience, where the AI and the machine learning is actually to help provide nudges to the agents or to the bank teller, etc., who's actually positioning the product. When it also comes to the direct-to-customer experience for insurance, what we believe is the moment matters, and what Wei also spoke about is if they detect that you are at the airport and we are able to provide you a travel insurance, offer, at that point in time you will be able to buy. So it's not only about using AI and ML to identify more new products, but it is about the right timing and the right offer as well. 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, 7 day. And given the regulation, at least that we have, we cannot launch products, by the day. So what we try and do is bundle these products with solutions, which includes experiences, like value-added services, for that matter, a 24/7, doctor checkup, etc., telemedicine, or an AI which can talk to you and do mental therapy. So these solutions can still be customized, to customers. So that's what we are using AI for now.
So I can add from an FMCG point of view. So you're absolutely right. What let's say an ingredient, right? An ingredient or a claim that has worked for the last 70 years may not necessarily work in the next 5 also, right? So like Listerine, for example, almost every toothpaste and mouthwash brand now claims that it's dentist recommended, right? That may have been a great claim 20 years ago. It's stable stakes now. Everyone does it, right? So that's kind of what you're pushing at. And I think analytics and AI ML can really help us identify what is the next big trend, next big thing that's come, especially when it comes to formula innovation, product innovation, right? So if we know that a certain ingredient, and I'm going to say this using a skincare example because of Hejong. So retinol is an ingredient that's very big across skincare products, right? But if we know that there is a new ingredient that's going to come up that is trending on search, is trending in certain influencer Instagram accounts or certain influencer TikTok account, not very big in the industry, not very proliferated in e-commerce. It's very hard to do this manually. The only way to do this is machine learning, right? That machine says, hey, this search volume is picking up, social volume is picking up, e-commerce volume is low. This is a potential opportunity for innovation, for example, right? So that's sort of what the industry is moving towards now.
So maybe just to layer on, right? I think, so I come from an engineering background, right? I love this quote. Those who fail to learn from the past will never be able to move forward. That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect of it is this, right? I had a conversation with one of my friends who is in the entertainment business. And you know, the entertainment business was completely shut down because of COVID. And as today, take, for example, clubbing, right? So they have an entirely new generation of clubbers. That entire culture that used to exist prior to that was erased, gone, kaput, done. So the reason why I bring up engineering is this. The acquisition of data is very important. What you consider important or not important, I will advise collect everything. Because examination of a past is not totally deterministic of what happens in the future, but as long as you keep collecting the data, you can see a trend. Once you see a trend, machine learning and analytics can help you do that inference. So there's no guarantee, right? The real question is, what do you consider as your asset in terms of data? Is data your new oil or your new gold? Data without refinement is useless.
Any other question? Yes, to the lady at the back as well. She put her hand up. Yeah.
Hi. Just had a question. I mean, I like the conversations that we had, and especially the question that Marcus asked. Just want to lead on to that. What are your views about hyper-personalization? Because all of you talked about decision moments, you talked about personalization, you talked about customization. What are your views about hyper-personalization? And how does it work in the different industries? Because for me personally, I would hate personalizing too many things for myself because it takes away the choice that I can make. I don't get exposed to options. So hyper-personalization for me is a no-no, and any brand that comes with me with extremely hyper-personalized, I've blocked them out from all my interactions. So, but I want to know your views because you are on the other side working on those aspects of your products. How do you work on those concepts? And I know behind that you need AI and ML, so leave technology aside, but from the business aspect of it.
Which industry you represent? Which industry do you represent?
I'm from the healthcare industry.
Healthcare. Okay.
And again, not representative.
Yeah.
But
so my personal view on hyper-personalization is similar to yours. And if we don't have to look elsewhere, we have to look at Netflix for learning. They are one of the best examples of actually using data and insights to generate what you would like. However, they still had to do a browse, or what's new section, because they realized that there are customers like you who would like to actually be open to options and to try. For me personally, looking at insurance, we don't have too many products, but we do have solution bundling, is a balance. We don't need one for one, but what we need is cohort. Even at a cohort level, at a cluster level, if we have 10, 15, 20 categories created, I think that's great. And I think we spoke about in the earlier question, and Wei spoke about it, that as long as you're collecting the data, you're refining that cohort and you're learning more about it. So I am on the same camp as you, not looking at hyper-personalization, to the hilt, to one-on-one, not required as of now.
It's just to layer in, right? Hyper-personalization is a very overused terminology. To be perfectly honest, I find it absolutely creepy. Okay. However, what most companies tend to do is to provide you insights. So for example, like what Abhishek mentioned, we look at a cohort level, for example, at your age, at your segmentation, at your income level, etc. We give you insights on what your peers are doing, for example. You have the option to take a look at that. As part of our app, we give you that ability to look at your personal deviation in terms of spending. What is your cohort doing? What are they investing in? What are they spending on? What are they looking at? So it gives you options, that type of insights, that analytics that you can apply on your own and decide, does this look right for me? Does this not look right for me? There's no perfect formula, but I think the general rule of thumb is this: don't be creepy.
And if I can build on that, Amazon is another example. People like you is a perfect example of how segment cohort level analysis actually helps, not providing you one-on-one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say it's about, I think when it gets creepy, to use Wei Ming's languages, is when it becomes hyper-personalized advertising, right? When you as a customer start feeling like, hey, this is too much, right? What Netflix does really well is it's hyper-personalized product, which is very different. It's like saying, these movies I recommend to you, but you don't feel like anything's being violated, if to use that a harsh word, right? It's because the way they're doing it is they're collecting information about cohorts, and they're serving you a product. I think Magic Scan does something very similar, right? It's your phone, it's your skin, right? And it's giving you solutions for your skin. So that's hyper personalization done well, because the customer is getting what he or she wants. So I think it's important to differentiate between hyper-personalization of product offerings and hyper-personalization of advertising.
I just wanted to add on one thing. So I completely well said. Actually, for us, the hyper-personalization comes with human also. The human is very important. So basically, the data and then the variation of the product recommendation will have limits. Anyway, and especially in SK2, we don't have like 1,000 different products, unlike the other brands where they have makeup, they have cosmetics, they have different types of body care in the franchise, where we are really focused on skin. Now we use human to deliver that much more in this very personal way. In a way, after we recommend the products or like the program, we give her the feeling that she's getting very personalized counseling. She's getting very personalized solution. And again, by understanding her skin, but it's really about she needs it, basically. She's there to get it. So I think in a way, the personalization works when she needs it and delivered in a way that's like more human. And depending on different industry would be different. But again, in our industry, it's more of that, the mix of the data and plus the human aspect of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit more of color here, which we believe at Indoas, particularly when it touches personal life savings, we don't take it for granted. It's very serious. So we think building trust takes time. Once the trust is established, so that there is a belief in the intention of us when it comes to personalization, so that people feel safer to actually consider the options we offer. I give one extreme example. I believe many of you have used Instagram Reels or Facebook feeds, Twitter feeds, or the most extreme is TikTok, right? I love those products. I think it's revolutionary. However, what you see on Instagram or on TikTok is not what you would love to see. It's what the algorithms would love you to see. how do you assume the intention is always good for you to digest new information? How do you know that it's not for some soft contents to sell a product like luxurious but brands or whatever is fit in as soft contents in the videos you see, right? So that's where I believe building the trust as a brand is actually the first step to take when it comes to personalization.
So one last question maybe with the lady.
Nobody? All right. We can take a quick question, just a quick one.
Can somebody give her the mic?
Hi, my name is Lisa. My background is media planning, so I appreciate everything you guys are sharing about how you plan on using AI with first-party data. Curious if the agencies that you work with are providing solutions that you could foresee using, or are the values or the value that you're getting from the AI tools and solutions with your first-party data more steering you towards cost cutting? And is it basically, is your use of AI impacting the relationships with your media agencies? Like something Hae-jung mentioned with like the 2-day timeline for creative shortening from 7 days. Like, do you foresee the agencies and the partnerships that you have being affected?
I think overall, first of all, there's some things we cannot replace from our media agencies, for sure. So, and again, our current, the AI, maybe the whole automated creative is actually a start of the test. So, and it's not replacing the total, this big, strategies and then, the whole insights that we get from the media agencies. However, we talk a lot with the media agency partners also, like how can they really bring more of that develop technologies and creative solutions to really tackle the business problems that we have. So because basically they are the one that knows the brand the most, they are the one knows the industry the most, and again they and with that the changing the environment, how can they really step change and use those those AI technologies and all that to recommend us versus for us to just directly work with the technology? Because at the end of the day, especially for the bigger companies. We do need to have a holistic and cohesive strategy across the countries. It's not just one market, one time that we're working on. We have to have a long-term solution for the brand. So we need to have some base, the media. We need to have some tests. But I think that's where that whole agencies can play the role, understanding the brand strategies, where the big gap is, looking into the global, the bigger strategies, now and the long term, and seeing where to test, where the technology can bring in, or even being able to open up and partner with these new technology companies and bring that, new insights to the team. So I think there's much more room to partner together with the media agencies. And I'm actually also in Japan case, I'm actually leading Japan as a total. That's my second role. But again, I work very closely with our media agencies, partners, and even our creative partners, because now the creative partners wants to step into the media because content is really important, right? So they're now stepping into how can they generate a lot of organic pool of contents or cohort related contents. And being able to even purchase the media and using their new technologies. So I think, yes, it's going to be challenging for the media and even creative agencies to really win against, but that's what we do right now, yeah.
Okay, right. I think that's all we have time for today. I'm getting glaring.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big warm round of applause to the panelists right here.
Thank you very much, guys.
As well as our moderator. Pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, let's give him a big hand, everyone. Thank you very much, man. Lovely, very, very insightful right there once again. And John Lee, all of them once again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's spearhead.